So, welcome everybody to the strategy session Sunday. Today, what we're going to be talking about today, how we like to start everything off is first, I like to start everything off with some mindset, guys. We love talking about some mindset. First things first. And after that, we're going to be talking about some rapid cash injection strategies. And at the end of that, we're going to open up some questions. But to start, let's talk about some mindset, guys. Let's talk about the type of mindset that you need to have to be able to just be in this game. Yesterday, I was actually having a talk with one of my buddies, and he was like, Blade, what do I have to do? Like, can you just give me some basic strategies that I should have in terms of just like getting started? I'm getting started in a business. And I was like, whoops, I got all these books here. Give me a second. Technical difficulties is knocking all these books. All right, whoops. Stay there. Cool. All right. What I was saying is, yeah, what are some basic things that you should recommend before kind of getting started? And I was like, bro, there's a couple of things. First is that you need to develop a certain mindset in order really to just kind of get started. You got to think of this business over here that you're starting as a means to take care of yourself, a means to take care of your family, a means to provide you some generational wealth, you know? So whatever you're going to do, regardless of whatever you're going to do, affiliate marketing agency, even if you're doing your own credit repair company or your own construction company or whatever you might be doing, the first thing that you need to do is ask yourself, do you really see myself doing this for like the rest of my life? Because ultimately, whatever you do, everybody that's watching this video, I can already tell you guys are hustlers. Just because you're watching this video already means to me that you have that mentality that you're not going to take no for an answer. You're going to make it there by any means necessary. You're going to hustle. You're going to work your ass off, mainly because you're taking the initiative to come over here, watch the books fall, and come over here and just listen to this. So what I'm trying to say is that regardless of whatever you're going to do, you're going to make it. But the first thing that you need to really understand is that nothing is going to become instantly. There's no such thing as like instant gratification like that, especially in terms of business and making some money, you know. There's no such thing as quick money. There's no such thing as really winning the lottery is the best way of saying it. Because, you know, this past week, I've been calling a lot of buddies, networking with my friends, people that are making day trading, that are making $80,000 a trade. I've been talking to people that have agencies that are making more than upwards of 100, 200K every single month just on a marketing agency. I've been talking to people that have a credit card company that's making around $1,000 a day just closing these guys. You know, I know people that have real estate companies that are absolutely freaking killing it, $1 million months. You know, what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, these numbers they're big, they're really cool, they're amazing goals. But two things you got to really realize on that. First of all, is that there's always going to be somebody above you, and there's always going to be someone below you. There's always going to be someone doing better than you, and there's always going to be someone doing worse than you. So really, to what extent are you going to keep on trying to get better and better? Because no matter what, no matter how much money you make, you're going to realize that there's always going to be somebody with more money than you. So it's really impossible to be able to be like, hey, is this like, to what end really is what is it? So the first thing that you even need to figure out is what's your purpose in all of this? Why are you doing this? Because the reason to just get better than everybody else can't really be a reason, you know? The reason to just make money can't really be a reason, because there's always people gonna be more money than you and you always get jealous. So first things first, you need to really just understand and be purposeful that you're really just doing this for your own reasons. You're doing this to keep yourself safe. You're doing this to keep your family safe. You're doing this to help people out. You're doing this to do all these other things, you know, helping. For me, I love the feeling of helping people make money and start businesses and automate their businesses so that they can have the financial freedom to go Airbnb hop, to go to a beach and enjoy time with their family, to feel that as though they're safe, you know, with just enjoying doing the things that they love to do. That's one of my purposes. That's the first thing I developed, is I instantly realized there's no way possible that I'm ever going to stop, you know? There's no way that there's not going to be someone always making more money than me or better than me in certain ways, you know? You need to first develop that mindset. You're not doing this to become better than everybody else, but you're doing this because you want to. Second thing that you need to realize is that in this feat of building up this business, another thing that you need to realize is going along with, you need to realize is that whatever you're going to do, regardless you're going to do, you're going to have troubles. Like I said, those people that are making all that money before, those people only really just made more mistakes than you. They learned more lessons than you. You know, you can't take, I mean, you're going to be going through this road. The entrepreneurial journey is quite literally like this, you know, in which case time spent and success is going to be like this. It's going to be a rocky road as you go all the way up to the top, you know? So regardless of whatever you're doing, I always recommend to people to make sure that they're super just passionate about it. You're building some sort of business to either give yourself some more financial freedom or to build some sort of generational wealth, either through passive income, through active income, however you're doing it. You need to be able to have something that you are passionate enough about, that you can roll with the punches. You know, not everything's going to be easy. You're going to have times where you're just beating your head on the wall and just pissed off and annoyed at yourself, you know, but you need to be able to still be in the game, be passionate enough about what you're doing, to be able to roll with the punches, to be able to take those punches and take them as a person and just learn from them and put your ego to the side. Understand that people that are more successful than you, they only had just more lessons that they learned, you know, and so that eventually, as you're just taking these lessons, you're going to get used to it. You're going to understand that, you know, the next lesson that's coming up, I'm going to learn how to dodge that. I'm going to learn how to dodge and weave a little bit so that I can become better, you know. So regardless of what you're doing, you need to be able to have passion in it too. And then the final thing that I really want to go over here is that in order, whatever business that you're going to have, you also, and it's mandatory, is that you need to first believe. Now, I remember this week, I was actually making a couple of videos about this because it's so highly important. And I got someone over here just text me for this link here. But what I'm trying to say is that it's super important that you yourself believe that you're going to do it. You yourself need to believe that you're going to make it. You yourself need to believe that you can build a business that's generating you 500, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, $1 million of days. You know, you need to really believe in yourself to do it, because ultimately nobody else will. There's no such thing as like free handouts. There's no such thing as people giving you a whole bunch of money. There's no such thing as other people building businesses for you. Ultimately, you need to do that yourself, you know? And the only person that's really going to be your biggest supporter, the one person that's really going to be there for you the entire time is you yourself. And think about it like this: if you don't believe in yourself, who will? So what you need to do is you need to be confident enough, you have enough self-belief to understand that you yourself can do it. Because what I've really found to really just be the truth is that it's like a two-step process in this, you know. First, you got to believe. And the second thing, you got to actually take initiative. You got to do the work, you know. But what I find is that when you believe yourself first, everything else follows. And as long as you're taking initiative to take upon opportunities that come to you, everything else will follow, you know. So one thing for me is that, you know, we're every single day as an entrepreneur, we have new struggles, new decisions we need to make, new things that we just gotta accomplish, and problems we gotta solve. But it sometimes can be frustrating, sometimes it can be overwhelming. But the thing is, what I've always found is that when I have all these problems coming at me, and I might not be able to figure it out right then and there, but what I do understand is that I can figure it out. I can figure it out. I can figure out this problem. So that usually what ends up happening is that I either go to sleep, take a nap, or I go to the gym, or I hang out with my girl, or we go to the beach, or we chill a little bit. And then what I realize is that when I'm not really paying attention to it, subconsciously, my mind is always thinking about that problem. And then after a while, when I'm not thinking about it, my mind just comes up with a solution. And it's so weird because it happens so randomly. And I got really interrupted by this dog. But I was saying is that the first thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you believe in yourself. Like I was saying, you need to really make sure that you believe in yourself. Is what I found is that every single day as an entrepreneur, you're always going to have problems. There's always going to be something else. There's always going to be another struggle. There's always going to be something that happens. And you yourself, if you don't believe in yourself, who will? So the first that you really need to do, the first thing that anything, you need to believe in yourself. And I always find that even though I have all these problems coming at me, all these struggles coming at me, all these different things, these different hurdles, what I find is that if you believe in yourself, the solution will follow. I forgot who the guy was. It was a famous philosopher that said that if you can relate the problem, if you can properly say the problem, the equation, whatever it might be, you got the first half of the problem already solved. You know, the hardest part is that self-belief. The hardest part is understanding the problem and believing that you can solve the problem. You know, I always find that, yeah, I might not be able to solve the problem right then and there, but subconsciously, my mind puts into motion thinking, puts into motion all these different solutions. And then usually if I go take a nap or I go to the gym or I go to the beach or I hang out with some people, my mind is always thinking about it, and then it solves the problem. Now, I actually got this book I was reading, and it was an amazing it was an amazing little quote in this book. I actually want to kind of read out here if I can find this really quick. You know, it was saying how not necessarily intelligence is important, but what's really important is the intelligence behind it. Here it is. Okay. The thinking that guides your intelligence is much more important than the actual intelligence that you have. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because what's really important is that you're able to have the intelligence to solve those problems. It's not necessarily important that you actually are just memorizing these different facts, but it's really important that you yourself have the self-belief and the self-intelligence to be able to solve those problems and the confidence to be able to solve those problems, even though it's not right then and there. As long as you yourself are confident in yourself to believe that you can solve that, you can make a difference, that you can really just become the person that you want to be, subconsciously, your mind will take steps into action to allow yourself to get there. Now, it's pretty interesting because there's this book, what's it called? How to Live 365 Days a Year. It's by a doctor named Dr. Schindler. And what he said statistically, that in the hospital, now this is going to seem absolutely freaking insane. In the hospital, around 3 to 4 patients are self-diagnosed as in 3 or 4 patients, they think that they're sick, which is why they're in the hospital, but they're not necessarily sick, you know? So what that means is that our mindset plays a massive importance on how you're feeling. If that statistic is true, and I'm sure it is, 3 out of 4 patients are self-diagnosed as sick that are in the hospital and they don't really need to be. You know, our mindset is thinking that we're sick so that we go to the hospital. And it's absolutely crazy because I can have a plethora of stories where friends and family are in the hospital, but they're not actually sick, but they don't allow themselves to get better. You know, my dad's sister was in the hospital and she was sick and she didn't let herself get better. You know, I've other friends from college and high school where, let me give you another example over here. One of my buddies, when I was running track over in college, okay, I was a really good runner, and I did face a couple of hip problems. You know, as I ran, I was doing like 10 miles a day, going to the gym for like 2 hours, and swimming for like a mile or two. What I'm trying to say is that every now and then I'll get a little hip problems. And what I find is that what I find is that other people had some problems as well too. But what I find is that before a race, before anything, because I believed that I was going to win the race, because I believed that I was okay, that I was going to be able to make it to the race, you know, other people struggled completely during those races. What I find is that the power of just overall just self-belief is way more powerful than any other type of intelligence that you can ever have. So before doing anything, you need to first believe in it. Okay. And I know I've been ranting today. It's a little bit longer of a mindset Sunday, but I just want to really make sure this gets out to you, because that statistic, when I read that statistic, that 3 out of 4 patients are self beliefs that they have to go in the hospital, and that's why they're in the hospital. I'm sure I'm butchering up that statistic, how they said it themselves. They said it a lot cleaner. I can pull it up, but I don't want to waste your time. What I'm trying to say is that the fact that that's true, that 3 out of 4 patients believe that they need to be in the hospital, which is why they are, just goes to show that what you think happens. You know, if you're constantly thinking negative about stuff, if you're constantly thinking that you can't do it, if you're constantly thinking pessimistic, you're constantly thinking with a victim mentality where the world kind of runs on my shoulder or something like that, that's what's going to happen. But if you're the type of person that's constantly thinking that I'm going to make it, I'm going to become a millionaire, I'm going to become a billionaire, you know, there's not a lot of trillionaires out there, but I'm going to become a trillionaire. Your mind starts to put into action how to become a trillionaire. And then what I find is that by setting apart goals, you know, I mean, yeah, that's great, self-belief and all, but one other thing is that belief doesn't really happen without a plan. Well, a belief doesn't really happen without motion, without incentive, and incentive doesn't really happen without a plan. So in addition to having belief in yourself, you also need to have action. Okay, that's just common sense. But in addition to that, you also need to have a freaking plan. So myself and I, what I make sure is that I always have, you know, I structure out my plans. You know, they always say that that you can really tell someone's wealth by how long of a thinking that they think. You know, so if you ask somebody, all right, how much money you got, and they're gonna be like, all right, I got $1,000 on me, you know, or compared to somebody that's like, hey, I'm gonna have 10,000, 50,000 in the next 2-3 months. You know, what I'm trying to say is that mine's just a little different. It's that you need to think with goals in mind. And I always find that the best way to really do that is having 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 3-year goals. Well, at least this works for me. You know, 3-year goals, 1-year goal, you know, maybe actually I structure mine 6 month, 3 month, 1 month, and 1 week, 1 day. As in, let me move my camera a little bit to the side over here. Today, what am I going to do today? This week, what do I want to accomplish this week? I want to close X amount of clients this week. You know, this month, you know, I want to make sure that I hire X amount of staff. I want to make sure that I'm sending out by the end of this month. I want to make sure that at least 100K emails go out. And I'm also opening up a bunch of more social media accounts. I want another 20 more social media accounts this month, 3 months from now, 6 months down the line, 1 year. I need to make sure I want to have another house, a permanent house that I buy over here in Puerto Rico. So me and my girl actually love it over here. 3 years down the line, I want to be able to have maybe like 2 houses. You know, 5 years, 10 years, 10 years, I want to have a house in Dubai or something like that. What I'm trying to say is that by having your goals down like this, and I always recommend either writing it down or having somewhere that you can just see it every single day. Really subconsciously, what that's doing is it's teaching your mind that, hey, I believe that I can do this. I believe that in 10 years, I'm going to have a beautiful house in Dubai. Okay. And then in those 10 years, my mind is because I'm seeing that those goals every single day, my mind subconsciously is going to put plans into action to be able to figure out how am I going to get there, you know, because a normal 9-to-5 job is not going to get me to a beautiful, probably $10 million mansion over in Dubai, penthouse in Dubai. So you need to be able to think bigger. And in order to be able to do that, you need to have a plan. Okay. And in order to do that, you need to make action. You need to take action. In order to do that, you need to have self-belief. All this kind of just comes together to be able to create the perfect life that you want to have, you know? So if you guys haven't done this yet, if you get anything out on this, and I know after this, we'll talk about some more client acquisition strategies, if you get anything out of this, is the most important, is that first you need to have belief in yourself, okay? So that subconsciously, you're going to be able to create some sort of plan. And what you need to make sure is that you take action, and then, yeah, you write up some sort of plan like this, okay? So yeah, I know it might sound weird, but you're actually going to have to do some brainstorming, go in front of a notepad and pencil and just think, how do you want to have your life? How do you see your life being? How do you want to have your life in the next year, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Do you want to have a boat in the next year? Do you want to have 2 houses in the next year? My girl and I are always talking about having a farmstead. We want to buy like 60 acres over in Texas, and we want to put our families in little different cabins around it, have a nice little lake in it with a nice boat, and we want to have a farmstead over there. We want to have a couple of horses, plenty of dogs. We love dogs, but that's our 5-year goal over there. We want to have a nice farmstead with around 50 to maybe 80 acres. So make sure that you do have a plan. Make sure that you have a plan to know what you're shooting for, what you want to have. Because a man with a plan is just not going to go anywhere. A dumb person with a plan will be a smart person without a plan every single time. And I don't know what philosopher said that, but whatever philosopher said that was a freaking genius. Absolutely right. I always found that if I just at least just have a plan, ever since I started this, when I started this in the very beginning, I was making a whole lot of mistakes. It doesn't matter, but because I had a plan, I was able to overcome those mistakes. But because I had a plan, I was able to then get to the place I want. I was able to drop out of college, get a beautiful house over here in Puerto Rico, running ads. Last couple of months, we were running like $250,000 worth of ads. I'm so proud of me and my team, but that could not have happened without having a plan. Ain't no way nobody's gonna trust me with $1,000 a day budgets if I didn't have a plan, or if I didn't learn how to do that.